Clean my mouth. Breakfast. Hold on, guys. Be right back. I gotta wash up. Okay. Bones, welcome to the stream. Manuel, loving the profile pic there. It's funny because prior to the stream, I was trying to figure out like what shirt should I wear, and then my eyes met this shirt, something kind of dangling off of it, and it dawned on me that oh yeah, and also today is Spider-Man Day. Happy Spider-Man Day. Trying to think to myself like what should we do to commemorate Spider-Man Day? Should I make like a community post or anything like that? And then I thought, well, I was gonna go live anyway, and a good chunk of our discussions today, a good chunk of our topics are gonna be Spider-Man related today. So I figured, you know what? I think I'm doing quite enough. Alex, welcome to the stream. Why do you say it like that? What's up? I guess. I guess. What's with the I guess? Yes, it's Spider-Man Day. I keep forgetting that August 1st is Spider-Man Day because apparently that's when Spider-Man debuted. Or Spider-Man number one. Wait, is it Spider-Man number one? Hold on. When? Could have sworn I just. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I just typed this in yesterday. Celebrated on August 1st. This date marks the anniversary of the superhero's debut in Marvel Comics in 1962. And it's funny because, yeah, the Amazing Fantasy. Okay. Amazing Fantasy, August 1st, 1962. 63 years ago. So, yeah. So I figured, you know what? Yeah, I'm definitely going to wear this shirt. And like I said, I was trying to think of like what picture or and I'll probably, you know, before end of day today, I'll probably post some kind of photo or some kind of thing on social media like Instagram, Twitter, Threads. Are any of you guys on Threads? Threads is surprisingly and in certain avenues rather negatively nerdy. I'm surprised by how nerdy Threads is. It's insane. Okay, Alex, no worries. You know, just hang about. Don't have to be witty all the time. It's all right. So yeah, I'll probably post something on social media or on those social media platforms a little bit later. But as far as YouTube, like I said, I was gonna post a picture or a graphic or something like that. But then I figured, you know what? I'm doing a live stream anyways, and a good chunk of the topics are rather Spidey related. So I guess to a certain extent, we're gonna have that covered. Gee, I forgot about Threads. I used to be for it a bit, but I completely forgot about it. I had it. Well, for a little while, I also kind of forgot about it, but what I decided to do to kind of get myself back into like a habit of utilizing it and just to kind of broaden my reach, broaden the brand, quote unquote, that is Dark Spider David, I figured, you know what, every time I have like a mini review of a movie like I did with Fantastic Four or blurb that I have to say about like a trailer that just debuted, I use a app called Buffer, which pretty much takes it's pretty much a hub where you can, it's probably the best, quote unquote, it's not the best multi-platform poster or publisher. I think there's some better ones, but Buffer is probably the best one to have free because there's a handful of ones that are very intuitive and very cool, but they know it and they're like, yeah, but if you want to keep using us after like a week or so, pay up. You have to pay for some of these platforms, some of these services that let you type one thing out, and then it'll send it to X/Twitter. It'll send it to Blue Sky. It'll send it to Threads. It'll send it to Facebook, whatever other social media platform, etc. And they're very intuitive. It lets you like format the pictures, makes sure that it tells you about character count, etc. But you have to pay per month. I'm like, I don't have that leeway right now. It's not that serious. So I was like, is there a free one? And so far, Buffer's like the one, and for good reason, because recently on Monday we had the trailer drop for the new Avatar movie, the new James Cameron Avatar, the Fire and Ash. And I posted a very quick, thing about why it is that now I'm finally hyped for an Avatar trailer. I was sort of vague with it, sort of cryptic, because I legitimately didn't think it was gonna be that big of a deal. And to an extent, I was right, because I posted on Buffer to post it on Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter. On Blue Sky and Twitter, it did it. Nobody paid attention to it. Whatever, it's fine. For some goddamn reason, my post about the new Avatar movie blew up on Threads. It got, I think, let me check now. Let me go on my Threads. I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's insane. It's rather insane. Actually, that's not it. Click on it. It is currently sitting at 848,958 views. Just a handful of 100,000, just a little over 150,000 short of 1 million impressions on Threads. I don't know what happened. I guess it was just right place, right time in terms of the algorithm, in terms of people talking about Avatar. Plus, one thing I do like about Threads, actually two things I like. One, the spoiler glitter to cover up spoilers. That's awesome. I don't know why Twitter and other social media platforms don't implement on something like this. So that's number one, especially after the two movies that we had this year. I mean, this month or this past month alone, Superman and Fantastic Four greatly took advantage of that. And then the second thing is also the topic function, where you can post threads to like topics. You can post it to like topics so that people can click on the topic, and you'll only get threads of that topic, and it'll funnel it, or kind of focus it a little bit, and I like that. I'm guessing it's because of those functions that, like I said, this thread that I posted about Avatar blew up with like 925 likes, 7 reposts, 15 shares, not too many there, but then 154 comments. Now, a good chunk of the comments were not exactly the most positive. There's some gatekeepers that were trying to tell me I had like equal parts gatekeepers of the Avatar franchise saying you should have been there from the beginning. I'm like, all right, fuck off, dude. And then I had others saying you can't convince me, and I'm like, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just hoping you see why I'm hyped. I'm talking about my hype. Like, I'm not telling you to be hyped. I'm just saying, you see right here, why I'm hyped is because there's actual conflict in this third movie. But anyways, moving on from that. Yeah, Manuel, I'm going to be touching base a little bit on that as far as like video game representation happening an awful lot with these collecting communities from these different companies. Some of which I'm going to touch upon in the stream. Because we have a beefy stream. We have a lot to cover. I took a really strong coffee this morning. So hopefully that's going to help. Hopefully I don't get hit with the poops here during the stream. Now that you mentioned Fantastic Four, I'm not too interested because I've already watched so much and found it amusing as is, but unbelievable. There's so much controversy right now. Well, to be brutally honest, like the controversy is not really controversy. It's just that he's overexposed. But is there controversy? Not really. Unless it comes out that he did something, which he hasn't. But is he overexposed and overutilized? Yes. And I feel like that's, I'm going to say it right now, as far as like the oversaturation of Pedro Pascal, I think it's like a 50-50. To be completely fair, it's 50-50. It's half the casting directors for not bothering to look at other actors and just trying to be like, well, everybody likes Pedro. Let's keep keep asking and offering Pedro. So I have half. Actually, I'll go ahead and say 60-40. 60% towards the casting directors to be like, okay, look at other people. There's other actors out there. Watch movies. But of course, I'm talking to the wall here because that's not what's bankable right now. That's the word, bankable. Now, I say 60-40 because 60% is those casting directors. 40% is actually some of the blame towards Pedro. Because at the end of the day, Pedro could still say no, and he's not. So, gotta be fair across the fair for the most part. Pedro could still say no, and he's not. So I'm like, yeah. That's why I'm gonna say it's 60-40. 60 towards the casting directors for enabling this pattern of oversaturating Pedro Pascal. Because trust me, there's other actors out there who are like, hey, I purposely reject roles, not because they're bad roles, but because I just don't want to be out there too much. Because I know that later on, when I start to get older and I want to be able to take on different roles versus what I was doing now, people aren't sick of me by then. Who's to say that people aren't going to get sick of Pedro Pascal when he's in his 40s? Well, I think he's already in his 40s. But when he's in his 50s and 60s, to the point where people are like, I don't want to see him anymore. There you go. Also, Bones, that's interesting. They changed how the ads display during lives. One side I see you, the other I see ad. When you got that, could you still hear me? Because I gotta be honest, I prefer that. I will admit that as far as ad intrusion. Because I notice that ever so often Twitch does that, and I prefer that instead of getting bombarded with just a huge chunk of 6 ads back to back interrupting the stream, especially when they know that some shit, like for example, this past weekend before he left for Evo, Maximilian dude, along with the other guys of Yo Video Games, they were doing a live stream. I think they were about to unbox some cards or something like that, and as soon as they pulled out the cards, Twitch was like, ad, and they just put out 5 ads. I'm like, fuck you. It's almost like some Twitch staffer, which wouldn't be, you can't rule out. I know it's a tinfoil hat theory, but considering that Maximilian dude is one of the most popular streamers on the goddamn platform, I wouldn't be surprised at all that there's this Twitch staffer who's actually watching the stream, and as soon as they saw that the guys were picking up cards and about to unbox and thinking that that's the moment that people were waiting on, some Twitch staffer was like, oh, put an ad block, and they hit the button. I would not rule it out. I would not put it past them of pulling some shit like that. So I've noticed that with some other streams that I've watched on Twitch, it's done that where the window kind of minimizes, and on the side, kind of encompassing the screen, was an ad for gummies or for vitamins or something. And I'm like, I like that. I can still watch the stream, but you're still serving an ad. I like that. No, I could hear the ad only, but definitely prefer this new method. Damn, I still kind of wish you could hear me. Okay, Alex. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because right now, all we can really do is just make jokes. That's where I'll draw the line. Is I'll make a joke about it because every so often I'll see a joke about his anxiety that I do find kind of funny because it's using a meme or it's using an illustration, but we can't really take it past that until there's proof that he's acting weird. Someone comes forward saying, yeah, he was weird, with me or something like that. Until that happens, we can't say anything else. I can't talk. I can't comment on that because there's no evidence. There's no evidence to support anything. Because there's some people on the internet who will legit be like, Pedro's weird, and I'm like, well, until you can prove it, there's not much you can say. What can you say? You can't. I just the only thing I guess that bothers me is the reception of people on the internet where they see, like you mentioned, Vanessa, who is married, is freely, complete. God, the the amount or lack thereof of talk about how Vanessa's kind of holding him like that because of his anxiety, and yet I'm over here like, I know for a fact less people would be silent if the genders were reversed. If the genders were reversed, come on. Come on. You know exactly how the internet would react. That's all I'm saying. If the genders were reversed, you know exactly how the internet would be reacting. So, my answer to that is simply just shut the fuck up. Not you, Alex. Just in a general you. Shut the fuck up. You know exactly how you would react if the genders were reversed. Come on. That's what bothers me. So I'm not even looking at like not even addressing this towards Vanessa or Pedro. They're adults. So, you know, if they want to do what they do what they do. But what really gets under my skin is the internet's reaction, being like, "Oh, they're so cute," and yet meanwhile I'm over here like, Vanessa's married, and you know it's their business. But at the same time, if we were to be able to swap some of these genders around, would the internet be as quiet? I don't think so. I personally do not think so. But that's just my observation, my opinion. We're moving on. We're moving on to what matters, which is that it's Spider-Man Day. So the first thing, and it's funny because I wasn't going to talk about this first, but at the same time, I figured that this is a good segue into Marvel Legends territory for what came out of San Diego Comic-Con. Because, guys, we had San Diego Comic-Con this past weekend. I was actually technically in San Diego last week. If you guys couldn't already tell, I already posted the video. You guys go and check it out whenever you can. I was invited to the McFarlane Toys VIP event, the Skyline Showcase in San Diego on the Deck 655 Lounge. Me and the girlfriend were invited to attend this. Big shout out to Deuce Murphy, aka the Comic Guy. Whether or not you're watching this as a VOD or live, thank you, man. I appreciate you for hooking us up, as well as to McFarlane Toys for having us as guests. Again, my apologies that we accidentally bumped into the Pattinson Batmobile and knocked over the Pattinson. I feel a little less bad about it, knowing that when that happened, I don't know if you guys could tell, the light was starting to dissipate from the venue, and that's because when that happened, we were literally just, I want to say, about 20 to 25 minutes away from them closing the event, because the event was going to end at 4. I remember looking at the clock. I even thought about this. I was like, what time? It's like, God, I don't know why, but something in my brain just said, check the time. I checked the time. I think it was a little bit after 3:30. It was like 3:37 or something like that. And I was like, oh, thank God. I feel less bad about knocking this thing over because it means that within a few minutes, they're going to start pulling stuff down anyways because the showcase is about to end. And sure enough, I think within 10 minutes, I was seeing some of the other McFarlane Toys team members going into other shelves and starting to pull down the figures and boxing them up. I was like, all right, I feel less bad about knocking over this Pattinson, even though we did tried our best to put him back by the door as best as possible. But I caught it on camera and I thought to myself, that has to be the opener for the vlog. But yeah, I went to the McFarlane Toys show. VIP event, McFarlane Toys San Diego event on Wednesday. And then I guess I'll go ahead and say it since people already posted the photos. I posted photos. On Friday, also in San Diego, I did the InArt event at the San Diego Wine and Culinary Center, which is this venue that was on Harbor Boulevard, which is the same street that the convention center is at. So I never actually entered the convention center, never actually attended Comic-Con, but I can kind of see the goings and passings and some of the pop-ups and external offshoot events that were happening kind of on the outside right there, along with, of course, your traditional year-to-year radical evangelists outside telling us that we're all going to hell. So, it was definitely San Diego Comic-Con week. However, I never really attended the actual convention because after my experience last year, which was, again, not a bad experience. I'm glad that I did it, but there was just enough that transpired that made me go, I'm glad that I did it this one time, but I'm in no rush to do it again. I need a few years break. And factoring in where I'm at in life from a financial standpoint versus how much we spent last year in terms of the badges for 3 days, the Airbnb for 3 days, travel, food, amenities, etc. I was like, I hate to say it, but it wasn't worth it. It wasn't like a disaster. Like I said, it was still a fun experience, even though it came with its own bumps and bruises, both metaphorically and for my girlfriend, literally, who had a tumble to the point where she passed out from the pain. And I was like, what the fuck? If you guys don't know that story, really quick, I think it was on the first day of us in town for like preview night on Thursday. That night we went out to eat, and after we ate, we were kind of going for a stroll. She fell forwards, hitting both of her knees, a little bit in her stomach and a little bit in her chest. And back in 2020, she suffered a really bad fall to the point where she needed surgery, and some of her knees are not reconstructed properly, so the pain is stronger than just your average trip. You know, you'll get scrapes and whatever, but she hurt her knees so bad that the pain was just kind of searing through her body. And as she was kind of like, I was asking her, like, are you okay? Are you okay? And she's like, I'm fine. She gives me kind of like a hug, and I'm kind of holding her like this. And then after a little while, I start to feel like weight shifting, like a pull. And I look down, and it's frightening to recount, but she's pretty much doing this. And I'm like, oh no, she is passing out. And I guess the pain was that strong. She is passing out, and I'm trying to like ease her into the ground, but she's falling. And thankfully she wasn't out for that long. It was one of those like quick things where she's out for like a second and a half, 2, and then immediately she's like, well, what happened? And I'm like, you're passing out. I was like, oh shit. So, and thankfully some bystanders at a nearby on a restaurant that's like a couple feet away noticed and went inside to grab like a drink or water to help her out. And like I said, within a few seconds, she was already kind of starting to get back on her feet. The person from the restaurant came over, brought us some water. She took some sips. And then after about a minute or so, she's doing like this, like breathing like this. And then she gets this look like, and I'm like, oh God, go to the corner. And what we just ate for dinner, she pukes it. Or most of it, like a little bit of it. I'm actually kind of, this is gonna sound gross, a little TMI, but not as much came out as I was expecting. But I was like, God damn it, we just ate, and it was, and that was on the first day that we were in San Diego. I was like, is this an omen? So yeah, thankfully the rest of the trip was not that bad. And that second day of Comic-Con, which I needed to wake up early for because that was the morning that McFarlane was going to have his DC Multiverse panel. The night before, we decided I'm going by myself. And she's like, yeah, go by yourself. Like, even though I'm feeling already... by then, she was already feeling better, but she didn't want to risk it. So she was... wish her the best. Hopefully she's feeling better. No, Big Rib, by the way, welcome to the stream. This was last year. This is a story from last year. This wasn't this year. Sorry, just to reiterate, this was not this year, this was last year. It's one of the contributing factors as to why we didn't go to Comic-Con this year. We went to San Diego for these 2 events that I was invited to, but we didn't actually go to the convention. We didn't go inside, we didn't walk through. And it's funny because one of the contributing factors as to why this happened to her last year was also those record heat temperatures that we were hitting almost every day of that week. It was like 100 guaranteed every single day. And it's funny because at first I thought maybe we were just feeling like it was 100. No, it was for sure 100 because on my own that day that I went by myself to the convention to check out McFarlane's panel, and the Friday when she finally joined in on again with me to check out the show floor and the exhibits and whatnot, both of those days we actually did see some paramedics treating some people that, from what we can tell, probably passed out from heat exhaustion. And I'm like, yeah, it's the heat. It was really bad last year. And to an extent, one of the casualties was my girlfriend that Wednesday. Yeah. This year, however, for those 3 days that we were in the San Diego area, I was like, well, ain't that a bitch? We don't go to the convention center, but is it just me, or is it, it's still kind of warm, but it's definitely nowhere near as last year. And she was like, yeah, it's feeling like we were just in the 90s, but more average 80s, and even in some cases 70s. When we were in the McFarlane Toys Skyline Showcase on Wednesday, it was breezy. We were like comfortable. And I don't know if it was because of how high up we were or whatever, but it was not bad. But anyways, just to recap real quick, because we got to get into the San Diego stuff. Wednesday was the McFarlane Toys VIP event. And like I said, last year that happened on that Wednesday or Thursday, I think it was. So the next day, I spent pretty much the entire time at the convention center to tackle some of the panels and record footage. And sadly, I was by myself because we didn't want to risk her taking another tumble or passing out from heat exhaustion, just to make sure that she recovered, and rested. But on the third day, she did join. We went to the Batman Cape Crusader panel where we got an early screening of the first episode. She went to the interview with the vampire panel. We saw a bunch of stuff on the exhibitor tables for like the vendors and such on the ground floor. And we called it that, and thankfully we had a better time. So it got better as it went along. But that's why we didn't go to the convention center this year, is because we factored in all those things that happened last year combined with how much we spent and all that stuff. And we're like, we happy we did it last year, but we're in no hurry to go this year. But we got invited out to the McFarlane Toys event on Wednesday. You guys can check out that vlog. And then on Friday, I went to the InArt event. I am putting the finishing touches on that video. That video will, like, 90% likely go up tomorrow, actually. That one will probably go up tomorrow. Because, like I said, it's 90 to 95% done. I think I just need to add music and a quick little clip at the beginning. But apart from that, it's practically done. So, look out for that video on the InArt event tomorrow. And yeah, and there was no event on Thursday. And since there was no event on Thursday, that's when I went and checked out Fantastic Four First Steps with the girlfriend and had some good dinner. So that happened last week. Also last week, McFarlane Toys themselves, as well as various other toy companies, had panels to reveal about upcoming stuff related to action figures, collectibles, things that we are going to be talking about. We're not going to go into the deepest dives of every single little thing, but just everything that's kind of pertinent of what I like to talk about on the channel. Stuff that's very Batman-centric, stuff that's very Spider-Man-centric. And most definitely around Spider-Man, considering that today is Spider-Man Day, August 1st. And to commemorate it, like I said, I was going to do a social media post, and I'll probably do one later. But I figured since I'm already going live, let's start by kind of giving us a little bit of an appetizer in the form of this teaser that the official Spider-Man movie Twitter account, or social media platforms, whatever you want to consider it, posted. Let me make sure that I can hear it. And you guys can also hear it and make sure that, let me do the transition here. Let me see if it's the transition. Bam. We'll do that. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I mean, you just hear like little chimes. The first couple of notes of Michael Giacchino's theme for Spider-Man from the 3 movies. Da, 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 da. And that's all you really get. It's way too... I don't think they even started filming. I think they're literally starting filming in like the next week or so, something like that, right? Spider-Man Brand New Day. And the caption reads, "Something brand new is coming. Hashtag Spider-Man Day." And it's basically a sneak peek at the brand new costume. Now, it's funny because out of all the things that people are extrapolating from this quick tease of the suit, is that it's going to have the raised webbing. Everyone's like, oh my god, raised webbing's back. I don't know if it's just me, but I just don't see that as a big deal. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not taking away from the cool factor, but I'm like, I didn't mind the flat webbing before. I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably in the minority with that. I guess to me, the biggest takeaway is that, is this... Like, I don't know. I would say probably the biggest thing is this final shot right here, where you see a little bit of the spider symbol in the front. Is it just me? I wish I could blow this up. Ooh. It's still kind of blurry, though. I wish they would release, like, a 4K high-res version. Is it just me? Or can you see a little bit of the hexagonal pattern in the back within these red parts that kind of look like the hexagonal pattern from the Toby suit? So that's my takeaway. Well, that's one of my takeaways. The second takeaway is that they're probably going to do what they always do, which is that they're just going to change the suit again, which to me... What? I just read this comment. Alright, and moving on. That looks like the Toby suit. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, why does it look like the Toby suit? But, and it's funny because I keep wanting to say it's a Toby suit, but then I look at the spider symbol here in the legs, and I'm like, that kind of looks like the legs from the symbol that we saw at in the final suit that has the reflective coat of paint from the ending of No Way Home. So, I don't know. I don't want to, frolic it too much, considering that it's literally a, 9-second tease with 3 faded shots. And it's in very, very early stages that they haven't even started filming officially, even though, like I said, I think they announced that they were starting filming quite literally this week, or this coming up week. Yeah, pretty interesting way to kick off, Spider-Man Day. Pretty interesting. I mean, there's already been and of course the Sony Pictures accounts have published it as well. So yeah. See, a lot of people are really making it a big deal that raised webbing is coming back. But I guess something needed to be put out there. But I knew that things were just a little bit on the early side to really make very strong impressions as far as what they were going to release at a brand new day. I don't know if they were... along with that, I think I saw some other things kind of reaffirming that of the people that are going to be appearing, such as Punisher, such as Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, especially since I think the other day someone posted a picture of a Universal truck from Universal Pictures. And for those of you who don't know, Universal to this day still has the rights to the Hulk, which is why there hasn't been a solo Hulk movie since the Edward Norton movie. So he only appears as a supporting character when Marvel Studios proper uses him, just like with Spider-Man. But when there's a solo endeavor, it's just Universal. And to this day, Universal's still like, you know what, we lost so much money with that Norton movie that we don't even want to make movies. But you can't have the solo movies. It's like, well then, make up your goddamn mind. But they spotted a Universal truck on the lot. That's where they're filming Brand New Day. So they're like, okay, there's Hulk's involvement. I haven't seen that clip yet, but yeah, hell yeah, raced away. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, like the legs of the symbol, but to me, like I said, the big thing is that hexagonal pattern you see in the back. So that's gonna be pretty interesting. But yeah, so we had that, and also going up this morning for pre-order was Spidey related Marvel Legends. I don't want to say release, but like I said, a pre-order launch from some of the things that were unveiled at San Diego Comic-Con from Marvel Legends. Now, gotta be brutally honest, I'm gonna breeze on through this because I went through the panel, well, not really through the panel, but from the pictures that were revealed for the Marvel Legends panel from San Diego Comic-Con. I'm sorry, but is it just me, or was it kind of weak? I don't know, like, Marvel Legends is barely doing anything for me these days to make a splash and to make me go, yo, what the... whether you like it, whether you love it or hate it, the Maximum series at least made a big enough statement for me to go and be like, okay, this needs to be talked about, this needs to be approached, analyzed such and such. Since then, it looks like they're going back to being quiet with the Maximum series. Who knows what their third entry is going to be. There's two things that I took away from the Marvel Legends representation at San Diego Comic-Con. Number one is that, like I said, the panel in and of itself, just to me, didn't move things too much in any kind of direction for me. It was very X-Men centric. This Cyclops doesn't look too bad, especially with the spark effects that you can kind of customize and move about there. I've even seen some people repurposing the laser effect to look like a bloody gore effect for other characters to put it by like the throat to make it look like it's somebody got their throat cut. I was like, that is incredibly morbid yet kind of cool. So like position it like this, but have the end piece that's supposed to go into his visor and put it on like somebody's throat, and then pose another character with like a knife. And I'm like, that actually kind of goes hard. But yeah, this X-Men 97 2-pack with their retro costumes. Emma Frost. I like X-Men, but not enough to... I don't think... Outside of Wolverine, I don't think I have any other X-Men figures. This one's going to be a bit controversial because I saw a lot of people saying that this is possibly one of their worst outings, which is the basketball 2-pack. From the one scene in X-Men 97 where they're playing basketball. I guess I would probably argue that the reason for why people were saying it's the worst is because this Gambit here has like some of the most garish joints, but what else do you expect? They kind of paint themselves a little bit in the corner with the exposed abdominal joint, considering that he's shirtless in that scene. Although I do like felt good for the little jersey on Rogue, except it's a little pointless from a design standpoint, from a concept standpoint in the cartoon, because it's like, well, you're going to be covered up anyway because you can't touch anybody, so what are you doing? Okay. Damn. Spared no expense there. I do like the basketball hand. That's pretty cute, pretty quirky. So that's going to be a 2-set, I guess. And then Jubilee, cool effects, like the drink, but again, nothing here that I look at and go, yo, it's like nothing is speaking to me. But then we get to a series that did, keyword did, pique my interest, which was the Magic the Gathering cross Spider-Man Marvel Legends collaboration between these three. Oh, I'm sorry, 4. You have an anti-venom agent, anti-venom or agent anti-venom, however you want to call him. You have, where is she at? Yeah, Agent Anti-Venom with the Spider-Man Magic the Gathering crossover packet right there. You have a Battle Damage Spidey, which out of the entire wave, spoilers, was the one that had my most interest. This at one point this week, I actually set the timer to wake up a little early to lock down a pre-order for this guy, just in case, which would have been pointless because apparently when I woke up, no matter what this morning, he was readily available. So thank God I didn't do that, and I'll explain why I didn't do it here in a little while. But this Battle Damage Spidey with alternate heads and hands, accessories, and webs to kind of customize the different look of the battle damage with the loss of the sleeve and some blood effects a little bit. You have, what character is this? I have no idea who this character. Colonel. Oh, it's John as a werewolf. It's John Jameson. Interesting. I didn't know who that was. Man-Wolf. Okay. AKA John Jameson. Interesting. But then you have pretty much Iron Spider-Woman. Or Mary Jane Watson as the Iron Spider. With the alternate head there. And the arms once again. So this Magic the Gathering crossover. And I thought it was pretty intriguing. And when they unveiled this at Comic-Con and said that pre-orders were going to go live Monday morning, I thought to myself, okay, I'm actually leaning towards that Battle Damage Spidey. Maybe the Iron Spider Mary Jane Watson because of the arms. And then that was it, because I had no interest in Man-Wolf because I never heard of the character. And then the Agent Anti-Venom looked neat at a glance, but then I saw that it was pretty much a repaint of the retro card Agent Venom that came out a few months ago with the Flash Thompson head. And the only bonus thing that you get included is the tendrils with the guns. If I can find it again. Tendrils with the guns and the extra hands and the little, venom oozing poison pieces. Along with the little back piece right there to include a... And then, of course, you can remove the guns in case you want to hold them in his hands. So, like I said, at first glance, I thought it was kind of neat, but then I saw that you're pretty much just paying the price for the extra tendrils that aren't even the same color as the original Agent Venom. So you're going to have to repaint them if you're like a custom modder. And then all of these figures are going to come with the Magic the Gathering card that technically is functionable with a Magic the Gathering set if you are a Magic the Gathering player. Literally last night, I found out, I don't know why it took me so long to find out that each of these fuckers are $40. You can't imagine how quickly I readjusted my alarm to wake up to pre-order these and just set my alarm for the usual time I always wake up, like 10:15, 10:20 in the morning. Instead of waking up early, even though these were going to go out live at 10 Pacific a.m., so it only would have been like 20 minutes earlier. But as soon as I found out that each of these are 40, I was like, miss me with this shit. Are you kidding me? 40? So you mean to tell me there's a $10 difference between a Maximum series and then these guys who are pretty much just Marvel Legends, but you get the Magic the Gathering card? And the accessory pieces aren't necessarily all... Especially with Agent Venom. What did I just say? You're pretty much... If you already have the original Agent Venom, you're pretty much paying $40 for the tendrils, of which are not even going to be the same color. You have to be, really into the modding, customizing community in the action figure space to, with a steady hand, to be able to give them that black coat of paint to match them. So $40 for the extra tendril pieces on this guy. $40 for a battle damage Spidey that is using a pretty good looking buck, but it is battle damage, and you're only really getting extra hand accessories and then the web shield. And I think a web strand, that's it. Again, just a couple shy of the Maximum series, but it's a whole just $10 difference. Man Wolf, which ironically might give you the best bang for your buck, but even then, you're dealing with a character that you never heard of. At least I'd never heard of. Just being completely honest there. And then Spider-Woman, who you can tell, most of the plastic allocation inside the box is going towards her arms. Other than that, only one extra pair of hands and an extra head. $40? Yeah. Yeah. And I can only assume that I'm not the only one because, like I said, I switched my alarm to just wake up at the usual time, woke up, made breakfast, and then finally I was like, oh, let me check on those Marvel Legend Magic the Gathering figures. They probably sold out, right? On Amazon, they did. I think on Amazon, the Battle Damage Spidey did sell out. But everywhere else, it was still available, including Hasbro's own Hasbro Pulse site. Still available. Still available on Big Bad. Actually, hold on. Why am I even saying this right? Why am I even recounting? Let me go to Twitter. I think it was Paternia who even tweeted out saying, hey, he's still available on these other sites, even though he's gone on Amazon. Let me see if I can pull that up. Because, yeah, $40. Here we go. $40. Let me click on all four of these, and then let me, just for shits and giggles, see if I can find the Amazon one. So he has sold out on Entertainment Earth. Hold on, I switch this. Even though the button's green, but is it gonna let me add it? Okay, no, it doesn't. Okay, it's glitching. It's doing that weird glitching thing. So it's sold out on Entertainment Earth. Still available on BTS. They usually sell out by now, but it's still available. Still available at GameStop. It has sold out on Hasbro Pulse. Damn. Because about an hour and a half ago, actually no, scratch that, 2 hours ago, it was still available, and he sold out on Amazon. But the other three, completely still available. Yeah, man, come on. $40. I don't know if it's just me being naive or whatever, but I legit thought that they were gonna be 25, maybe 30. 40? Fuck off. Like I said, I canceled that alarm so quick. Even they are higher in the UK. If I just search at 37 here and same. And you know, to the people who hate on McFarlane, I'm sorry, gonna bring up McFarlane. Oh, okay. Gonna bring up McFarlane as a comparison. Uh, Look at this Magic the Gathering series for $40, and then look at the collector's edition series of like some of the most recent collector's editions, like Dark Stars, the Year 2 Batman, that are 30, 35. You got the Peacemaker. And then think about the fact that since day one, he's included the card in the base. And I know that people don't have too much use for it, but you had a standard DC Multiverse figure going for like $22.99, and you still get a card in the base, and then whatever accessories that character manages to come with. $22.99? Maybe $24.99? I'm not saying it's cheap. It's not. It can still get kind of pricey depending on the character, but what are we even talking about here? I'm sorry. I know that Marvel Legends, diehards are probably cringing and getting triggered right now. But man, oh man, this is ridiculous. $40. So that was one key takeaway. The second takeaway is that I can't remember how I came about this. I think it was when I was trying to pull things for the stream, where I was trying to pull up interviews for or like exhibitor ground floor footage, or not footage, but videos of other people that did attend the con that were kind of gathering footage of the Marvel Legends booth on the floor. And this resulted in me going down a slight little rabbit hole of interviews that other toy collectors on YouTube were conducting towards the two remaining figureheads from Hasbro Marvel Legends, Dan and Dwight, because as many of you know, Ryan is no longer part of the team. What exactly the reason is behind there, still kind of up in the air, to be quite honest. I still feel like something's afoot, but can't comment on what exactly it is until we know exactly, if I don't know why, but I just get this really weird gut feeling that in a year or two, 1 or 2 years time, Brian's gonna say something. I just feel like Ryan's gonna say something, but we'll see. We shall see. But yeah, I went on this rabbit hole of these interviews from Shartimus to MCU Collector to a couple of others, and there's just so much deflection from Dan and Dwight. It's not even funny. Like every time that they get pressed with a question, within a few seconds, immediately Dan's like, "Well, what do you want to see? Well, what excited you? Well, what do you?" It's like they're asking the questions. I'm sorry, you either answer or don't. Don't do this like deflection thing. I feel like that's more telling than you just saying, "Oh, we can't comment on that right now." Just say you can't comment on it or something. Man, oh man, it's strange to me how they act, their body language, and how they react. It's always been kind of iffy with me. I've said this from day one. McFarlane is definitely winning this one in value. Hasbro has no excuse to charge that much. Like, yeah, I'm trying to understand it. Like, what am I missing here? And this is coming from someone who, again, showed interest in that Magic the Gathering Battle Damage Spidey. I was like, okay. And then I saw $40. I'm like, I couldn't even bring myself to pre-order on the sites that don't even charge you right away. Like Big Bad Toy Store, at one point Amazon, Entertainment Earth even, they don't charge you until it's gonna ship, which I think it's not even gonna be until like the end of the year or almost the beginnings of next year. And even then, I'm like, I don't care. I don't know. I was like, no. What the hell, man? Well, Alex, to play devil's advocate, those cowardly lot variants that you saw, are you talking about the ones from San Diego Comic Con that were like different color? Those aren't being sold, if I'm not mistaken. Those weren't really being sold. Those were going to be part of this like McFarlane Toys digital thing, where like if you minted that version for $5 on your wallet for McFarlane Toys digital, that'll gain you an entry to win one of 12 of those cowardly lot variants. Now, whether or not those people are then winning those variants and then selling them at a high price, who knows? The black and gold, however, the repaint, which was the SDCC exclusive, yeah, that I think was being sold, I think, for like 30, 40 bucks. And, you know, props to whoever wants to be a completionist and get that exclusivity feel of a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. I didn't see it. I know that it was available as a EQL lottery win, as well as the Kingdom Come cover recreation of Superman, which I was tempted to get at one point, but then I thought, well, I'm just getting it for the exclusivity, for the FOMO, and once I was able to kind of like suppress the FOMO, I was like, nah, I'm good, and I didn't enter that lottery for either of those two. I can't tell whether it's because it's the Magic the Gathering collab up in the price, or if Hasbro thought that they could get away with. Aren't they? Don't they have the Magic the Gathering license too? For like figures? I could be wrong about that. Hold on. Who? Grok. Who owns the toy license for Magic Gathering? Hasbro. It's Hasbro. Wizards of the Coast own the IP of Magic the Gathering, but Hasbro acquired the license for toys. Oh no, Wizards of the Coast, a subsidiary of Hasbro. It's fucking Hasbro. It's them. So I hate to say it, but that means that they shouldn't be. They're not being forced by anybody to upcharge just because of the card in there. I bet that their whole reasoning is that the card is playable, meaning you can use it in an actual Magic the Gathering deck. It's not just a collectible; you can actually use it. How much you want to bet that that's their reasoning? Get the fuck out of here. I just looked it up. It's Hasbro. They own Magic the Gathering. Nobody's forcing them to upcharge just because of the Magic the Gathering card. And like, again, how much you want to bet that if they were to be asked, it would be like, whoa, you can use the card to play. It has points that are, subjugated to the rules of Magic the Gathering. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You realize I don't play Magic the Gathering, which I can only assume means that other collectors don't play Magic the Gathering, but wanted that Battle Damage Spidey. When they found out that it was $40, they're like, I'm out. Pfft. Just like I was. That's insane, man. Anyways, let's move on to the competitor in and of himself. Let me mute this real quick because this was such perfect timing. So let's take a break from Marvel Legends, from Spidey, despite it being Spider-Man Day, and go over to the chunky boy that is McFarlane Toys San Diego Comic-Con panel. Now, originally, I was going to use photos, very blurry screenshots and photos that people took in from the event, only for me. And it's funny because I was thinking to myself, like, when should I go live this week? Should I do Thursday? Should I do Friday? Maybe Wednesday. But then on Wednesdays when I was going to post my VIP event video, and I didn't want to cannibalize the views away from that, so I was like, let me wait until Friday. Good thing I waited. Real good thing I waited, because literally I literally ate breakfast, sat down, turned on my computer, opened YouTube, and within a matter of like 10-15 minutes of opening YouTube, I get greeted with this. It's the McFarlane Toys San Diego Comic-Con panel in full high resolution. So I don't have to use any screen grabs or anything like that. Here's the entirety of the 45 minutes that Todd and Brian were on stage revealing what they had up their sleeve for San Diego Comic-Con. Now, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here to talk about the big ones that are going to be the main topics of discussion here for the McFarlane Toys San Diego Comic-Con panel, because I'm going to be a little honest here. And a little brutal. It was a good showing, but also, I don't know if it's just me. And I'm showing my chat. My bad. Thankfully, I didn't show any information. It's fine. It just showed like the feed. Yeah, I mean, it just showed the chat feed, and it showed the view count, the analytics of the stream. Thankfully, it didn't show like the key or anything. I don't know if it's just me, but apart from some good little takeaways from the McFarlane Toy Show, they in and of themselves also, I'll just say this, they had stronger panels before. Like, is it just me, or had they had stronger panels in the past? As far as like banger after banger after banger of reveals. And I'm wondering if that was done by design, or is it a, for lack of a better term, a symptom of what's going on right now with the alleged loss of the license. My penguins. Only thing that the only time I'd eat a gold Batman up is in regards to things like Kenner tributes or 90s variants. Like if it was a gold Batman, but it was utilizing maybe like a different buck, maybe that'll be good. Only thing that stops me from caring as much about McFarlane is their scale. They're great for the price, but scale so bad with Legends. Yeah, they're never going to be in that wheelhouse. I love the fact that they're making a Batman Incorporated, though. I honestly like that suit, especially with the mod someone did with Arkham Asylum. Okay, that's nice. You can finally go with other single characters, if not storyline, and figure a form, aka Abyss. Okay, so, yeah, because that's the thing. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but I just feel like they've had stronger Comic-Con panels. Hell, I mean, I'm praying that I'm not subconsciously being biased here, considering that I was in the room attending the panel. But I feel like last year's was a little better as far as what they showed. Because, like I said, the main thing that I drew to this year's panel was more or less losing a bet that I made with myself. Which is that I think it was at the beginnings of July, kind of going into the time window, the time frame of Comic-Con lining up here, especially with me, making arrangements to attend the VIP, the Skyline Showcase event on Wednesday. I was kind of making a prediction with myself, a bet with myself, that the absence of the Batman Returns wave was becoming so prominent that I was scaring myself into almost believing that, and like I said, betting, that if we reach Comic-Con, we hit Comic-Con, it comes and goes, and we don't hear about the Batman Returns wave at all once more after this Comic-Con, I gotta be honest, that means it's canceled. Like, that was my guttural reaction, or like I said, that was my bet. That was my, doom and gloom prediction, was that if we get through Comic-Con, he does his panel at San Diego, with his main SDCC panel, and he doesn't mention the Batman Returns wave at all once more after it being gone from the limelight ever since WonderCon back in March, then I don't think it's happening, guys, because I'm telling you, it was probably like a licensing problem. Lo and behold, I'm supremely glad that I lost that bet with myself, because the Batman Returns wave did in fact make a resurgence, and this time in the form of actual prototypes instead of just renders. These are actual figure prototypes and not renders. So here you have 4 of the wave: Batman himself, Penguin, Catwoman, and Max Schreck. I gotta be honest, I'm liking the Christopher Walken expression right there. Pretty accurate. Nice. That was probably terrible. My voice. We're already an hour into the show, and my voice is getting a little bit strep already. So I'm not doing the best impression right now. So the head sculpt I'm really digging. I'm not sure if I'm digging the coat, because I gotta be honest, we are starting to see this coat a little bit too frequently. It's that same kind of sculpted coat that we've seen on various characters before. I think most recently Sandman used this exact same coat. I'm kind of recognizing the legs a little bit from the Joker. But the torso looks a little bit on the different. And then, of course, you got the pinstripe design that does do a better job of masking it. But to me, what's really doing most of the heavy lifting with this Max Schreck figure is that Christopher Walken head sculpt that legitimately looks pretty nice. It actually does look kind of neat. We have the Catwoman with a nice little likeness to Michelle Pfeiffer, although it could be a little bit stronger. It looks a little too... Like I said, I'm going to need some closer looks, but right now from this little faraway portrait, it looks mainly like a really attractive woman that's cosplaying as Michelle Pfeiffer as opposed to actually Michelle Pfeiffer. But I could be wrong. Maybe it look a little nicer in person. Plus, if the majority of the suit looks nice up until we get to this like little corset look here in the middle that looks a little separated, which I'm thinking is mainly put there to favor the articulation, but it would be a little against the design of the actual look of the costume in the movie, because in the movie it was pretty much a straight up skin tight suit. It didn't have a corset that was like separated and lifted. So I'm a little nervous about that design choice going on right here with the hips. Really digging the felt good little like wool feel to the coat that Penguin's gonna have, as well as the head sculpt. A little cartoony, but at the same time we are talking about the Tim Burton Batman movies, so it's kind of playing a little bit in favor of the design here to the Danny DeVito portrayal. Plus, I've never been the biggest fan of this version of Penguin, so I'll take it. I'm not losing any kind of sleep over it, but I do like the incorporation of the felt goods as well as the little fur there. I'm really digging what they're kind of implementing on Penguin here. And then we have the man of the hour, Batman. Couple things. Positive and negative. The positive would have to be that, yes, the torso looks like it's modeled to look like the return suit with the little abdominal segmentations right there. The symbol there on the chest, that's looking more so like the traditional Batman logo as opposed to the one with the wingtips from the 89 Batman. And I am really digging that head sculpt because it's looking like they're paying attention to what people were talking about with the 89 Batman, to where the neck looked a little too thin. And it looks like, I could be wrong, but if you look a little carefully, it looks like you're still going to get full neck articulation, but they still made the neck wide enough to create the illusion that it still looks like all one piece cowl like it did in the movie where he's turning like this. So they figured out a good compromise to where it'll break the lore of the Batman cowl to where you are going to be able to turn his head. But if you put him in a neutral position, it's going to look flush like your traditional Keaton cowl, complete with like the angled eye holes of the cowl right here in the ears. And it looks like there's segmentations happening right here at the base of the neck and at the top of the neck, base of the head right here. And I'm like, yo, if they can pull that off, that's going to be legitimately a nice implemented technology. That's awesome. That's badass. Unfortunately, the negative that I think a lot of people were theorizing from the renders, and it looks like it's coming true based off this prototype, is that the changes stop right about right there. It looks like the rest of the figure, as far as the limbs are concerned, are going to be straight up pulled from the 89 Batman. Which, if I'm not mistaken, there were some looks to the gauntlets and the boots that I think are a little bit different on the return suit, but here, I could be wrong, but here it looks like he just took the 89 limbs and just put them on this new torso and headpiece, and that's it. And I'm like, that's unfortunate, because I feel that I really do feel like they could have hit a home run here if they also came out with new limbs. Oh, new limbs and a cloth cape, because from what I can tell, it looks like it's going to be nylon again. Hopefully it comes with wire. A little bit of a foreshadowment there on an upcoming review that I'm working on right now, actually. Because, yeah, it's almost there as far as being a really cool, possibly even definitive Keaton Batman. But it looks like, again, it's coming just a little bit short of that. But it didn't stop there with Returns Batman. Like he mentioned right there, and this was kind of talked about a little bit at WonderCon, where they were originally going to do a Build-A-Wave, but they decided against that, keep the Deluxe Theatrical Edition labeling intact, similar to that of the recent Superman reveal, Superman figure wave, and instead, as its own side thing, probably packaged in like a rectangular box, similar to that of like the vehicles, we're going to get our Penguin Commandos, of which my girlfriend says that she will chastise me if I don't get. I showed her this and she's like, you do whatever you want with like the characters, the main characters here, but you got to get those penguins. All right. You know, if anything, there's a really good chance that when these guys go up for pre-order, McFarlane's probably going to have like a sale bundle deal where if you buy all 5 of these products right here, you'll get like a $11, $12 discount or something like that. So I'll probably do that. But yeah, you get the Penguin Commandos set up right there on the side. And gonna skip a little bit here over Todd's remarks, because you also get even more Returns goodness in the form of a vehicle figure 2-pack. That's going to be a GameStop and EB Games, which is pretty much GameStop Canada, exclusive, which is the Duck Boat, I guess it was. It was a boat, right? From the movie, bundled with a Penguin variant that's not going to come with the felt goods, but it does look like he's got a different head sculpt. And then, of course, no pants, a different sculpted bottom half to be using his like weird one suit or pajama suit, whatever you want to call this thing, to be a little bit more synchronous with the top half. Because if we go back to the original Penguin, he's got like a freaked out, eyes peeled look. And the head sculpt looks a little different. And I think the hair is a little different too. No, it looks about the same. But he's also missing the vest and the undershirt. So it is technically a variant. It is a Penguin variant. So it is going to be different than the one that comes as part of the deluxe theatrical wave. Plus, like I said, fucking the duck boat, which even though it's a prototype, I like the little weathered wooden effects to make it look very like worn and overused. Kind of gives it like this lifelike feel to it. So I was like, all right, I'm digging that. I'm digging the look. I don't know if it's going to be a day one pickup. Although, is this thing going to make sounds? Because I'm looking at those punctures there on the front. He didn't say, I don't think, hold on.
Canada and GameStop, so the Penguin's duck boat and his kind of pajama pants suit that he's wearing here.
Right.
So there you
Right,
go.
look, I'm not saying penguins with missiles and duckmobiles are for everybody. But there's enough of you out there to just go, shit, that's cool, right? So sometimes you just got to do those versions of it. So sometimes our retailers step up and go, I'll take it. I'll be the leader in that one. And most of the time it works. So it's pretty fun. And it's fun, right? Sometimes you don't want the job to be a job. You want to have a little bit of fun. So we got a couple of the duckmobiles at the office that we sort of quack around with. So.
Live Justice. BVS.
Okay, so let's move on from that. I was hoping if he was gonna say if it's gonna come with sounds or not, because like I said, I see those punctures there at the front, and it kind of looks like there might be sound effects coming out of it. Maybe some quacks. If that thing quacks, actually might have to pick up. I think if it quacks, I might legitimately have to pull the trigger on it. CM Brock, welcome to the stream. About how fast do you think this will sell out? I got a feeling a lot of people are going to miss out because of it. Are you talking about Batman Returns as a whole or the Duckmobile? Batman Returns as a whole, I feel like Batman, Penguin, and Catwoman are going to sell out. I think Max Shrek might still be readily available even a few days going forward. I think the Duckmobile might sell out considering it's a GameStop exclusive. If he was a wide retail available, then I would say maybe there's a chance. So yeah. Todd wouldn't have taken my penguins away like that. It was a lot better. I don't know why they got rid of the penguin's hat. Well, hopefully it's well, all of them are missing accessories, so I'm hoping that later down the line they're gonna reveal which accessories come with which ones. Because Penguin has to come with a hat. Just like Batman, you notice right there, Batman doesn't have a bat wing or anything like that. I'm pretty certain that that whole slide that you saw is just the figures, and because they're prototypes and not final, they still have to say that they're not finalized. They're probably still working on the accessories for all of them. And I feel like one of them is still going to be the top hat for Penguin, the whip for Catwoman. Oh, you know what would be badass? I doubt they're going to do it. Because here's the thing. They're deluxe theatrical editions. If the figures are by themselves, Todd, I like that you guys are doing the returns wave, but if none of them come with accessories, that's a rip. There needs to be something to warrant theatrical deluxe editions, because you're pricing them at the same level as like collector's editions, as they're just a few dollars shy, about $10 shy of the Elite Edition series that's about to break ground here with the Doomslayer. You need to incentivize. And the fact that that slide had no accessories for either of the characters means that they still have to come, which means that Penguin's going to come with probably his top hat and the cane. Batman needs to come with gadgets, with his Batarang, with what other gadgets did he use that's very returns heavy that he didn't use in 89 Batman? Because I can't remember right now. There's probably going to be some retooling and repurposing from the 89 version. Catwoman, the whip. Now, what would Matt Shrek come with? Doesn't he have like a present? Because it takes place in Christmas time. Doesn't he have like a present thing? But here's where I'm going to sweeten the deal a little bit and give McFarlane a freebie here. A freebie idea that would instantly earn my money. Instantly earn my money. Guys, Todd. The guys over at McFarlane Toys. With this Batman Returns theatrical edition, deluxe theatrical edition, all 4 alternate heads. And when I say alternate heads, just one. Just one each. Just one. Just one. Now, I know that with each one of these, there's two head sculpts you can easily include. For 2 characters, these alternate head sculpts you can definitely nail. You should not have a problem. The other 2, I will admit there might be a licensing problem. So I'm kind of preparing myself to probably be disappointed in not getting that. But here's my idea. 1 alternate head for each of the deluxe edition wave. For Batman, an unmasked Bruce Wayne head sculpt with a torn piece of the cowl from the ending when he tears it off. And you see Michael Keaton and his beautiful curly hair. and the complete lack of eye makeup. All right? In that same vein and literally the same scene, a battle damage, crazy hair kind of peering through the mask, Catwoman, where like half of her hair is kind of coming out and it's kind of like and her makeup's kind of smeared. You know, completely tousled Catwoman head sculpt from the ending of Batman Returns, where, like I said, part of her hair is kind of coming out and her makeup's running. However, those are the two that are likely going to have some licensing problems, because that's when you definitely need to start honing in on the likeness of the actors, and I don't know if they're going to be okay with that. Or I don't know what kind of loopholes they would have to dance around to get that nailed. Now, the two that should not be a problem are for Penguin and Max Schreck. For Max Schreck, spoilers in case you haven't seen Batman Returns, his electrified, eyes peeled head sculpt from when he gets fried. And then with Penguin, literally just take the exact same head sculpt, open his mouth, and cover it in the black goo from when he's like dying and he's like, ah, like that. That's it. That's my idea. That's my pitch. That, I hate to say it, but I feel like that's would make the deluxe edition worth it, along with the accessories I already mentioned. Whip for Catwoman, of course, your usual batarang and grapple, whatever the hell, for Batman, the remote batarang, the wing glider, there you go, the cane and top hat for Penguin, and then a present for Max Schreck, or whatever it is that he has. Boom. And yeah, CM Brock, if you're talking about the whole wave, I would say it's going to be kind of like a 50-50. Well, CM Brock, to that point, if her whole costume has to be torn, then I almost kind of kept away from saying that, because that would mean, just like Alex kind of foreshadowed here with that comment about the battle damage might be a gold label. That's the thing, is that if he decides to go with a fully battle damaged Catwoman from Batman Returns, then that would have to be a gold label, just like they did with Ultraman for the theatrical edition of the Superman series. They would have to release it as a gold label, standalone figure, another $35, and it'll have to be like in store at Walmart's or Target's or whatever the case may be. Okay, so good to see that the Batman Returns wave was not dead. Next up on my highlights of what to point out, kind of rewinding a little bit in the DC Multiverse section. Because here's the thing, this was a chunky 45-minute panel, but I gotta be honest, like I said, I feel like they've had stronger panels in the past. That's not to say that there were still some things that piqued my interest, one of which was the Batman Returns wave. Next, however, was this slide of more just straightforward classic or comic based impressions of these characters from DC. So we're getting a proper classic or vintagey looking Scarecrow and Riddler. Granted, these are renders, these are not prototypes, these are just 3D renders. You can kind of tell that they have like that 3D look, so there's no figure prototypes. These are probably, it says fall 2025. I gotta be honest, I don't think that we're gonna see this until winter of 2025, like November or December, if I'm being honest. Because considering that they're 3D renders, I feel like they probably still have a ways to go. So we got Riddler, we got Scarecrow. I gotta be honest, the Scarecrow looks legitimately awesome, albeit a little beefy for the kind of character that he is. Starman, who's going to be a Red Platinum. I don't really know much about the character. That's probably why he's Red Platinum. Although, again, kind of seeing that same coat starting to make a resurgence. And the coat is not the only piece that I feel like I'm seeing a little too frequent these days. Static Shock in his classic vintage look. That's going to be a McFarlane Toy Store exclusive. But then back to the Bat family. Classic looking Batgirl that I can tell you right now, a lot of people are probably going to be looking after this character in her classic suit, to the point where I think, CM Brock, if you're asking me what other figures are probably going to sell out, I can almost bet that this Batgirl will. And then more Batmans, because Batman is Batman, and I love Batman, so I hate to say it, I'm part of the problem, but I'm going to still be buying. And we have an admittingly pretty badass looking Batman Inc. Batman. I love this color scheme. I love the shading of the musculature and the little bits of wrinkles to make it look like it's a suit. I could be wrong, but it's looking like a newerish torso. I like how the torso's looking and the chunkiness of the body. That I'm like, yo, I think I'm kind of between these two. I'm kind of looking at this guy. Then again, Earth 2 Society or Earth Negative 2 Society Batman, he's got a fucking mustache. Come on. Or at least it looks like a mustache to me. That's a mustache, dude. And, you know, I don't know why, but I feel like the color scheme of the black and gold might, you know, work. It might, what's the word I'm looking for? Rub off on me or might warm up to me eventually. So I don't know. We'll see. But these are some cool little reveals here. Hold on. I need some water. I almost dropped the lid. Always happens with these tiny ass lids. I almost drop them. And then right after that, I think we had another slide. Okay. Kind of reiterating on the collector's edition series. Two of which are already starting to show up in stores, Dark Stars and Dark Archer. At San Diego Comic-Con, at the UCC booth, they had Beast Boy, so that guy's probably going up crazy amounts over at the eBay and aftermarket. Kite Man being a Target exclusive, I have yet to see him in store. Then we have these guys that just went up for pre-order recently, Deathstroke, Mirror Master, and Metron with that chair. Foreshadowment there. Because next up, also as a collector's edition, collector's edition that's going to be coming in fall is Dr. Midnight, and then another Batman with the Mobius chair. Getting a little nervous that we're seeing this chair just a tad bit too much. I'm already seeing some repurposing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but early, you know, Metron is starting to hit stores. Pre-orders just went up, but some people are already finding it in store. We have the Mobius chair over here, which is most definitely just a darker, you know, bluish black repaint of this chair over here that came bundled with Metron. But wasn't there like a Lex Luthor figure that came out a couple years back that also came with this exact chair with a couple of different moldings that were different? So this would technically be like the third time we're seeing this chair. I'm hoping that we don't go a little too crazy on this chair because I don't want to see it too frequently. And plus, from what I can look, it looks like Batman, the Mobius Batman here. I'm loving the design of the bat symbol with the little accents and the color scheming. But if this renders anything to go by, it looks like a repurposed Rebirth Batman, from what I can tell. So we'll see how it's implemented. But I do like the color scheme to a certain extent. But I'm worried about what that chair is doing because I do not want to go into a timeline where that chair is going to start. Is the live stream good? Okay. I don't want to enter a timeline where that chair is going to be they're going to start throwing in that chair just a little bit too frequently to the point where all it's doing is just marking up the price because of how much plastic is being included. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want it to be an excuse for them to be like, hey, here's that chair again. Here's the chair. You know, take it easy. Batman Inc. is so beefy. Like, I'm liking the beefiness of Batman Inc. Oh, bones, is that what it is? They're supposed to be fangs? Like a bat's fangs? Hold on, let me go look at it again. Maybe? It could be. Earth Negative 2 Society Batman. Let me, hold on, let's just minimize my thing. Technical difficulties. Let's go into the good old Google image. That is not, oh, forgot the society part. Society. We live in a society. Okay, I guess it is. Yeah, because here he is without the cowl and he doesn't have a... Okay, so it's not a mustache. Yo, why does he look like Nicolas Cage here? He looks like Nicolas Cage in Ghost Rider. Tell me that doesn't look like Nicolas Cage. I'm gonna turn into the Ghost Rider and then steal the Declaration of Independence. But first, I must be Batman, even though I was already Superman at least once. Tell me that doesn't look like Nicolas Cage. Come on. Wasn't that a dark side throne? Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm like, I've seen it before with something. And I remember last stream, I care less about completing this new collector's edition, including plats, but I'm definitely getting the Deathstroke and Mirror Master Platinums. I managed to secure a Deathstroke pre-orders, and I did a pre-order through BBTS and also through Entertainment Earth and Walmart, and supposedly through Walmart and Entertainment Earth, there's a chance of that chase, and to be honest, the chase does look neat, so I wouldn't mind either. So yeah, it's in my head canon, quote unquote, I would have liked it better if it was actually a mustache. But yeah, you're right. It's part of his cowl. It's supposed to look like fangs or whatever. Now, I do have to get a little salty. Where is it? Because they went into a deep dive to touch base a little bit more about the Elite Edition. But, you know, because obviously, as you can kind of see right here, you have some inclusions of the Elite Editions from Fallout to Persona 3 to Doom the Dark Ages with like Doomslayer, Diablo 4, Lilith, of which is those first two, Doomslayer and Lilith, are actually already being found in some stores, to the point where apparently there's some Walmarts that are already stocking up Doomslayers, and so I started to go into some Walmarts myself just to see if I don't miss out on anything. And Lilith, I think, is being found in some GameStops. So I'm keeping an eye on that because I think the Doomslayer does look kind of neat, and I wouldn't mind covering it on the channel. One question that, well, rather two questions that people started to have with this Elite Edition, though, is when are we going to get a Spawn Elite Edition? Because it's McFarlane. Why wouldn't he want to do spawning? He did say that that is coming, like that's a given, but he's just trying to nail out these other characters that he has the license for, just to get him out of the way before he finally tackles his own, because he knows that Spawn, he owns Spawn, he'll get to it eventually. It's like, it's not going anywhere. And then the next question was DC. Are we going to get a Elite Edition Batman, an Elite Edition Superman with all these kind of possibilities of what could be included in the box? Because Elite Edition with the higher price point means you're going to be able to deal with more stuff as far as the accessories, the sculpting, the felt goods, the articulation, etc. My nomination for a Elite Edition Batman is so far an Absolute Batman from the current Absolute comics, because of how much of a chunky character he is. So I thought to myself, okay, that's probably a good, nice entry and a nice first step for the DC license being inducted into the Elite Edition. Well, it turns out that that's not our first DC character going into Elite Edition. I'm going to mute him here because I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. There you go, Elite Edition. Fully articulated new figures featuring the best brands and characters.
First DC entry, and this is a reveal, and it's just a render. So,
and it, like he said, it's a render, not final. So we're probably going to still get more accessories, more implementations of what's going to be included. But the full reveal is that our first Elite Edition is going to be Zatanna. Okay, I thought that was a different slide, but this is the only slide. Okay, so yeah, Zatanna. Complete with a detective chimp side, I was going to say side piece, side accessory, kind of like a little mini figurine, very similar to the scope and detail of and sizing of like the baby kaiju that gets included with the deluxe theatrical edition Lex or Crypto with Superman from that theatrical deluxe edition. So he's probably going to be about the same size. And even an alternate head with the screaming face. But why Zatanna? And it's funny because you probably think that my rant or the criticism that I'm about to indulge in is that he's not Batman or that he's not Spawn or that it's not even Superman. No, not really. My rant comes mostly from the perception that I know for a fact that a lot of people have been wanting a tried and true to scale 7-inch DC Multiverse Zatanna. Like Zatanna has been requested time and time again, year after year, a definitive Zatanna. To me, I gotta be honest, it sits just a little icky, just a tiny, tiny bit, that you finally, to an extent, give the people what they want in the form of a Zatanna 7-inch DC Multiverse figure. Voice crack. But it's at the literal cost, metaphorical and literal cost, of being locked behind the Elite Edition series. And at this point, we now have enough information to gauge that Elite Edition figures are $60, not 30 or 35, not even 40, they're 60. So with characters that probably require felt goods or added plastic allocation like Doomslayer with the fur coat and the different weaponry, the T-60 from Fallout because it's a mech suit, even Lilith with the big wingspan and the added head sculpts. I just spit. I'm looking at Zatanna and going, really? We're doing Zatanna as like the first DC Elite Edition? And right now, the only selling point is the Detective Chimp, and I understand it's a render, not final, probably a ways off, and she's probably going to come with like an unhatted head sculpt with a different expression, probably, different wands, different, magic effect pieces. Like, I can definitely think of other things that are going to probably bundle inside of the box, but as far as just the sheer choice to look at the demand and go, oh, you guys want Zatanna that bad? Elite Edition. Why is this not just a simple, or at most, a collector's edition under DC Multiverse? Why not just collector's edition? As a collector's edition. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of other, reasonings as other ways to kind of bargain. But honestly, this should have been a collector's edition with the accessories, but also with the card and the base, marked at $34.99 or even $37.99. I know, a little costly, but I would be like, well, a lot of people have been wanting Zatanna. They want to, for lack of a better term, take advantage of that demand and be like, all right, collector's edition. But when they announced this as being Elite Edition, I'm like, really? Something doesn't sit right with this, in my opinion. And I'm not necessarily the biggest Zatanna fan. So I'm not necessarily like day one pre-order there. I'm just trying to empathize with the people who are Zatanna fans and trying to, ask the public, how do you get, for anybody watching this either during the live stream right now or as a separate video, as a separate section, if you are a big fan of a Zatanna, you've been wanting a definitive Zatanna to scale with the remainder of your DC Multiverse figure, especially if you're building like a Justice League or an iteration of the Justice League assortment on your shelf, and you've been because I've been seeing some posts on like subreddits and on the McFarlane Toys Facebook group of people been begging for a Zatanna figure to go in there as their definitive comic-based Zatanna, and now knowing that it's being implemented into the Elite Edition and no other way, it's like, does this sit right with you? Because I feel kind of weird about this. At best, I feel weird. I kind of winced a little bit when I saw this as a reveal when me and the girlfriend were killing time before the internet event. As we were kind of like trying to find batteries for my microphone. I saw this go live, and I was like, why Elite Edition? That was my number one question. Like, I was thinking less about Batman, because I know Batman's eventually coming, and I know Spawn is eventually coming, so I'm no worries about there. But just the fact that Zatanna, after so much demand, this is what they're doing with Zatanna, is making her an Elite Edition exclusive. I don't know. I just think that it's weird. But let me see what some of you guys are saying in the comments here. By the way, CJ Yo-Yo, I didn't say hi to you earlier. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, after this Zatanna, because originally I would have disagreed with you, Alex, about Poison Ivy, but now seeing what he did with Zatanna, I'm like, yeah, some people have been wanting a Poison Ivy, a definitive Poison Ivy, and now I'm thinking to myself, if the next DC Elite Edition, and here's the thing, you know what they always say, as much as I love Todd, but I'm gonna hold him up to the same standard as I do with Marvel Legends, as I do with other companies, and that's to say, if people have a problem with this, vote with your wallets. Because at the end of the day, this is going to keep happening if you don't vote with your wallets. If Zatanna goes up for pre-order and within a few minutes that thing it sells out, there's your answer right there. There's your answer. Vote with your wallets, guys. Like the other day, I broke the news to my girlfriend that I saw an article that up here where I live, they broke ground on the new shopping center. And I asked her, guess what they're building? And she literally went, a Starbucks, a car wash, and maybe, she said a third thing. I don't know what it was. And I was like, well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, because it was, in fact, I think she said Walmart. And I told her, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. A Starbucks, a car wash, and a McDonald's. And she's like, why can't we get anything new? And I'm like, I wish we could get anything new. But there's a reason for why they keep building Walmarts and, well, to an extent, Walmarts. But mainly up here where I live in the high desert, car washes, Starbuckses, McDonald's. Why? Because people keep going to them. They're selling. They're making money. That's it. People don't want to wash their cars on their own anymore. They take them to the car wash. There you go. And it's the high desert. It's dry as fuck. It's going to happen. Well, I mean, CM Brock, like I said, Batman is definitively happening. Probably Superman, maybe a Wonder Woman, but then again, we already got that collector's edition. Like, the way that he did that collector's edition Wonder Woman, that came with, like, the lasso and the shield and the axe and all that stuff, that's how I was expecting him to do Zatanna, but, yeah. So, yeah, we'll see whenever the pre-orders, and keep in mind, it's a render, so it's probably still a few months out before pre-orders go live for Zatanna, but I'm telling you right now, vote with your wallets. And this is coming from someone who likes McFarlane toys. Look how many figures I have, but I do think something is just a little strange about making Zatanna an Elite Edition. She should have at most been a collector's edition. But the fact that it's Elite Edition and we're jumping from 35 to 60, almost double. And right now, the only thing that you can guarantee on the side is the Detective Tiff, even though there's a likelihood that she's going to come with. She's probably going to come with the hat, the wands, magic effects. Those the fishnet stockings that she has on her thighs, those are probably going to be felt goods, like a felt good fishnet material that's probably over the plastic to make it feel a little bit more lifelike. Maybe even the corset that she's wearing right here, that's probably going to be a felt good, maybe her coat, I don't know. But even then, like you guys are mentioning in the comments, like Zatanna was highly requested, and to see her being the Elite Edition as opposed to being like someone much more obvious like a Batman or a Superman, I'm like, I feel like some advantage is definitely being taken here. Like, no mistake about it. And that was my main takeaways. There were some other miscellaneous stuff. I kind of touched upon Fallout. They're bringing more Fallout figures like the Cooper Howard and the Ghoul, which is it's kind of neat. More Marvel statues, although going back to the panel, like I said, more Marvel statues, some of which you guys have seen a little bit of it, but I do like that they're not shying away from the Marvel Rivals game, so it makes me wonder if other companies are going to take advantage of Marvel Rivals. Marvel Legends, if you guys want to make some quick cash, Marvel Rivals, get on it. That Spidey, that Venom, that Wolverine. There's some people who are probably going to be paying money. I might even be down for that Spidey with the black symbol that's kind of stretching out, kind of like the white symbol, but it's black instead. That Punisher, that chunky Punisher. Then again, this is probably a monkey's paw situation because I'm over here asking for it, and then Marvel Legends is like, Dan over there, bet, all right, $60. How about that? All right, yeah. Well, what do you guys want to see? This Dan from Marvel Legends. Fucking Christ. Yeah. So, like I said, other miscellaneous stuff, touching a little bit on the Elite Edition. Marvel statues, like I mentioned before, the Mortal Kombat Classics, which now have an official pre-order date of August 8th, which is literally in a week. Even though I wish that a few more implementations of paint could be utilized on them, if they go for like the standard $22.99 for just their standalone piece right here, they're still not that bad, and I'll probably lock down a pre-order with them because I'm intrigued. Especially since, as I mentioned to a handful of my peers and to other people and a couple of times here on the channel, this, along with their Elite Edition with other properties, could be the thing to keep McFarlane's momentum somewhat steady if the DC license does get lost this time next year. It's a good strategy. It could be a compelling strategy. So, yeah. And then some Spawn stuff, Movie Maniacs, to obviously touch upon Ozzy Osbourne. Some people were saying that this was in bad taste. I don't know if many of you guys know, but this thing was unveiled literally like a week or two before his final tour to commemorate the final tour. It was just crazy that 2 weeks after his final performance, he does in fact pass away. So it's like, it's just the unfortunate timing. They were just like, hey, so this was already unveiled. That was already coming down the pipeline. And then of course some reiterations of the crowdfund for the Justice League BVS Batmobile there, which I do think is an interesting concept. And it lets people pick the different tiers. You guys mostly already know about that. As well as the page punches for the Wonder Woman that's selling out and I think should be around the corner of release. Some people are actually already finding her and Steve Trevor in stores. I actually already found these two personally in one of my local Targets, so that's pretty interesting, which means these are probably just around the corner. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And there's that Elite Edition Zatanna, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not really up my alley, and Avatar tees for some reason. UFC, and that's really about it. So it kind of hammering the point across that I said before, it does feel like there's been better showings from McFarlane Toys in prior years, but at the same time, I feel like it's something that they may not have had complete control over. Could just be me, but it just feels like something that just happens to be the case. Is to show that the idea of the Elite Edition will sell, which is not it. Zatanna will sell out because people want it, and Todd has finally been manipulated. Well, I don't know about the manipulation part, but you know, it could be Todd or it could be someone on the team said, "Hey, look at this Zatanna," and made the suggestion to be like, "Hey, let's make Zatanna the first Elite Edition." It could have been him, or it could have been someone else. Unless we're a fly on the wall in that room, we'll never know for certain. But someone at the team was like, "All right, that was a little shady of you to do that." Bones, they're doing Marvel Rivals statues. They're doing the whole pre-post statues. They're not doing figures. If figures come out of for Marvel Rivals, it's gonna be from Hasbro, which means they're gonna be 6-inch and they're probably gonna be overpriced. They're gonna be $40 like that Magic the Gathering shit. Yeah, I did see that weird red sticker for Katana. I hate to say it, even though it's kind of a. Some people may hear this and think it's kind of controversial and a little off-put, a little taboo, a little like, what are you saying? But I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be brutally honest. You're saying Katana is a main character, and she is. She is most definitely a staple character in Mortal Kombat, and she definitely needs to be included for Mortal Kombat fans, for fans, diehard Mortal Kombat fans. She will not be a staple for action figure fans. Does that make sense? And I'm sorry, but Katana being a red platinum, a bummer, a little bit disappointing, not surprising because it is still tied to that slightly antiquated way of thinking by both Todd and his team that figures, I mean, like I said, I'll just say it, female figures are not going to sell well when they're pitted up against male figures. So using Mortal Kombat as a good template here, you see these four in the store: Liu Kang, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, and then you see Katana. You have a little boy who's familiar with Mortal Kombat. Get over here, the fatalities, like, cool. Like, look, or actually, I'll go as far as to say that they're not familiar with Mortal Kombat, but they see those four characters. You see a little boy. They're gonna look at those characters and be like, oh, I would say the first two that they're gonna look at and go, oh, that looks cool, is Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and then maybe Liu Kang. They're not gonna look at Katana like that. I hate to say it, but that kid is not gonna look at Katana like that. And the mom's gonna ask, you can only get two out of these four. They're gonna go with Scorpion and Sub-Zero. That's it. They're definitely gonna leave Katana. Maybe leave Liu Kang. Maybe fight for it. I don't know, because of how buff he is. He's got the red bandana and the cool fire effects. But apart from that, that's why. So from a business standpoint, Katana being red platinum, it sucks. But I get it. I was kind of expecting it. It is what it is. So, yeah. Okay, let's get into some uplifting stuff. Moving on from McFarlane, and we gotta breeze through these topics because I still got a few of them here, even though they're not as chunky as the McFarlane stuff. The McFarlane stuff was definitely that big panel, and there was an awful lot of stuff to extrapolate from there. Next up is not so much panels, it's just stuff that was kind of shown on the ground floor, and some of this will be talked about a little bit quick because I keep thinking that it's a lot, but it's not really. Are you guys familiar with a company named ThreeZero? I was for a little while, because whenever I hear the company named ThreeZero, I'm thinking the first property that comes to mind is Transformers, because they're known for tapping into a marketplace that admittedly wasn't very tapped into, but they thought, you know what, nobody else is doing this, let's do it. I know it's going against typed, which is to make really well detailed and articulated non-transforming Transformer figures. So they basically make Transformer figures that are super well done as far as the paint, as far as the detail, as far as the airbrush, and most definitely as far as articulation. But they don't transform because it's Transformer figures. They don't transform because obviously you can't get that much detail and that amount of articulation and then incorporate the transforming function. So they tapped into that market and they made CM Brock. CM Brock, thank you for the super chat, $20 super chat. Appreciate you. To get off topic, someone has gotten the LPZZ Arcanine Final product in hand. Did you see it, or are you going to wait until you get the product in hand? The latter. I'm gonna wait. I did, however, get it shoved into my feed. Someone, it was, I think, it has a red logo. Let me see if I could reopen YouTube and get it fed into my home feed. Is it there? Is it there? is it there? I literally just saw it. Prior to me going live, I literally just saw it. And now I'm missing it. What was the YouTube channel? But yeah, I saw that they posted a review of the Arkham Knight LPCC Arkham Knight Batman. So I saw that they posted the review, but have I actually watched the review? No, and I'm not going to because, I guess I'll go ahead and spoil it here. I am getting the LPCC. I already paid the invoice. I already paid it off. Basically, the invoice was sent to me a few weeks ago. Paid it off. When it's going to arrive, I have no idea because I ordered it through Bombasby, and I don't know exactly how long they're going to take. They say that they're doing it in batches, so I don't know what their turnaround time is. I don't know what the timetable is. Truth be told, this is my first time ordering from them, so we'll see how it goes down, but hopefully it works out. And this channel that posted, like I said, I can't remember what it was called. Action Displays. Yes, Bones. It was Action Displays. There you go. I looked them up, and they live in Croatia. So they don't even live in the U.S. They live in Croatia. So something tells me that they probably got it a little bit quicker in hand. I don't know who the seller was, who they got it from, but they probably have some kind of ins to get it, some kind of means to get it a little earlier. But yeah, they posted their review, but I haven't watched the review, and I don't want to because I do intend on reviewing it. But yeah, I know that we're starting to get closer and closer to these retailers shipping out their assortments of LPCC Batman. And the reason for why I'm not watching the review is because my intent is to get the LPCC. I actually already have the Amazing Yamaguchi and the McFarlane here in my room so that when I get the LPCC, I'll be able to play with it as much as possible, film the review, film the comparison portion, group it all together, put out one massive video like I like to do, and get that on the way. Anyways, so going back to ThreeZero, they had a presence at San Diego Comic-Con. And that presence was, of course, made up of predominantly Transformers. You had stuff from the recent, iterations of Transformers as far as like the comic stuff, the shows, the movies, etc. But what really... Oh, god damn it. No. I accidentally am opening Vegas. Close. Close. I don't want to tank my computer. Close it. Okay. But what really caught my attention was this. A deluxe, or DLX as they call it, Advanced Suit 2.0 Spider-Man from Spider-Man 2. And this is coming from ThreeZero. Look at that. This could be awesome. And plus, I've been meaning to find an in on what kind of quality ThreeZero deals with. So I know that this may not vibe with because there's some people that don't like the super texturized figures like this. But to me, this looks awesome. It looks really well painted. Maybe a little opaque on the colors. I don't know if it's like the way that these colors were, the way that these photos were taken by whoever took them. According to this, it was taken by Black HB. I don't know who that is. I don't know who the user was. I think there was a different user over on my Facebook who took photos. If I can find them, I have no idea if I'm going to be successful on this because they got a little lost in the weeds because they had like a whole album and I had to cycle through them. Who was it? It was Toys Walker. Oh, and it wasn't even at San Diego Comic-Con. It was at HCGHK. I believe there was also a ThreeZero presence at this Hong Kong event. Let's see if I can find the Spideys. Because there was a Hong Kong event and ThreeZero showed up at that one as well, along with like Hot Toys. Or is this... Oh... Maybe they weren't at San Diego Comic-Con. Maybe I don't know why. Maybe I thought that they were. Okay, never mind. They were not at Comic-Con. I thought they were. It was the HGC HK event. All right, never mind. My apologies. But nevertheless, the same week, these things got unveiled, along with a Miles Morales, also from Spider-Man 2, with the upgraded suit, although this is an unpainted prototype. And then right there on the side, you also see some stuff from the MCU, like Black Panther, with the energy charge, kinetic energy charge, and the Iron Spider. But to me, I don't know what it is, but there's something about the Advanced Suit 2.0 that really piques my interest a little bit more, along with a back piece that's going to come with the arms. If they manage to crack the code to make this feel like a little shrunken down Hot Toys, sans the fabric, oh yeah, we can be in business. And here we have a closer look at the texture, at what is very likely PVC and ABS plastic being utilized for the tooling. And I can only imagine that they're probably going to be incorporating some technology to change the lenses of the eyes, to make them look a little open and then kind of swap them out for like the narrow look. And I'm like, yo, the raised webbing. Look at that, the back symbol there. Closer look there. Sculpting is looking pretty nice. Miles Morales looking understandably a little bit thinner, but still really good texture. I just wish I could kind of see the paint, but we'll see when the timing is right for that one. And that's it. So yeah, these most definitely piqued my interest, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on a little closer than before on ThreeZero, because I already liked what ThreeZero has shown before, as far as, like I said, the Transformer stuff, both in the small scale and big scale, and then keeping it on the smaller scale, the 6-inch scale, was their Iron Man stuff. But now that they're tapping into Spidey, I'm like, yeah. Jason's Electric, welcome to the stream. Bones, they got it from Bumblebee 2, the same way you got it from early review. Where's my early review? Nah, I always try my best to never be like, why didn't I this? Why did comparison is the thief of joy, and I try my best to not do it, to not commit it. Cause yeah. I know that's just a recipe for disaster if I do that. I do not want to do that. I can't tell whether I like or hate this figure. I like McFarlane to make the reward. Arkham Asylum Batman armor suit. DC Collectibles made it, but McFarlane should have made this a long time ago. Makes more sense. Maybe it'll look better on final release. Well, you're talking about the Advanced Suit 2.0? Instead of those unmasked for gold, platinum Batman, Joker, and Deathstroke figures. Those Walmart exclusives, none of them spoke to me. I didn't get any of them. I don't know what it was, but I was like, all right, I'm good. Yeah, Bones, that's the thing. Is like something tells me that some of those photos were a little opaque, but I think it's the lighting and whoever took the photos. It's possible that maybe they're going to be a little bit brighter when the final product arrives. Okay, now this is a quick topic, because there's very, very, very little that I can really talk about that I was able to gather. But, guys, check this out. Are any of you familiar with a company called WeLikeToys? Because apparently they've been around for a little while. They actually already made a BVS Batman a little while ago, and a BVS or a Man of Steel Superman. That didn't look too bad, but albeit just a tiny, tiny little bit baggy on the suit. And it looks like they're taking those practices and applying them to a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man figure. And these are early overseas photos of the figure. Now, it doesn't look perfect. I can definitely nitpick some parts. There's some strange proportioning problems happening with the legs I can see. Some misalignment in the stitching I can see right there on the bottom left boot. I can make out. Again, these are early prototypes. They're probably still being refined as we speak. And then the mask could also be utilizing some work. But it just kind of begs the question of like, oh, are we getting a challenger? Is a challenger approaching? Because I keep forgetting that the arrow swaps through the save posts and not through my not through my the photos inside the carousel. I have to click it. So they put out prototypes for a red and blue variant, complete with another photo there in pose, slightly crinkling. But I do like how the symbol looks here on the chest, as well as the actual lifted webbing. You have different hand sculpts, hand accessories, because you got the fists over here, and then you have some extended wall crawling hands. It appears over here. The mask looks a little better here, as opposed to over here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the angle, but it looks a little better. Web holding and relaxed hands with the web strand. Okay. Head looks a little worse there with the forehead. So again, some refinement, and then right here, what's going to come included. The hand accessories, probably the thing to prop it up, web pieces, web strands, cone pieces, very similar to that of Marvel Legends. But they also threw in prototypes of the black suit, complete with a pose there of him sitting, contemplating, kind of like that poster. So yeah, it makes me wonder, like, are we getting a new challenger in the form of WeLikeToys? Because gotta be completely honest, this is my first time of ever hearing of this company, and it was this post and these releases of these photos that I saw on both Reddit and on this Instagram that made me look them up and be like, okay, they've done like a couple of DC characters, but now they're delving into Spidey, specifically Tobey's Spider-Man. And me being a huge Tobey fan of that Tobey Maguire series, I'm like, and I'm gonna have to throw these on my radar. Again, still a little unkempt, a little flawed as far as like some of the stitching, some of the proportioning, but I can only assume based on how this base looks and the hand accessories that this is probably gonna be 6-inch scale, and I'm wondering like what the possibilities are for what they can do as far as the felt goods of the suit. If this is gonna be like a possible competitor to the likes of Mezco, who deals in fabric suits or felt good suits that are kind of covering up the bulk of the body. I don't know, but I'll definitely be keeping them on my radar there, because that's interesting. Mafex never made a Mafex PS4 Spider-Man, right? I don't think so. Figuarts did, I believe, but not Mafex. Wait, Bones, what's the price? I didn't see the price anywhere. This is 6-inch, kind of like Mezco, right? I don't know why. Besides the cloth, I thought it was Hot Toys until so. No, even I can kind of see the stitchings on the side. Like I said, like I was kind of remarking on the boot, I was like, yeah, I don't think this is Hot Toys. You would be able to see much more detail if it was blown up a little bit more. So immediately I thought maybe 10 inches, but likely 7 or 6. And yeah, it's 6. But where does it say that there's a price? I'm actually on the Reddit. Oh, here we go. Oh, they're going off the DCU Superman. And they're saying that those were priced at like $80, 80, 85. So again, it's kind of competing with Mezco. If anything, it's depending on where you get your Mezcos, it's probably even a little bit cheaper. Because I know that Mezco can sometimes go for like what, fucking 100, 110, 120, some change. Well, Bones, I don't know if you saw. Let me go back to this picture, but there is toe articulation. I saw the hinges. There we go. Right there. You can see the toe hinge. Not on that one. Oh, damn it. Did I delete it? Well, you can kind of see it right there. And it's on the red one as well. You see right there, the little hinge. There's toe articulation. I'm looking on Toys Metaverse, 150. Why is Toys Metaverse charging that much? Whoa, Brian, what are you doing? Brian's new dishwasher. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Thoughts on the Marvel Tokon designs? Would you be interested in Marvel Legends of those? I believe what did I still have yet to watch that video, but let me see if I could just look at some quick Marvel Tokon. Because from what I saw in like that first reveal, I did like it. Ooh, we do have a Spidey. Show me more Spidey. Marvel Tokon. Because I do like Captain America. How he looks like in that. But let me see Spider-Man. Oh, here we go. Not bad. A little iffy on the bicep webbing, if you want to call it that. Those little bicep parts, or those little gray parts that you can also see on his hip. Which is funny because the blue change right here on his thighs, I do like that. Like literally everything looks pretty awesome. And also I like how we're going with like very large spider symbols now. Instead of I don't know how I feel about the blue around his neck because it makes his neck look smaller because of this little red part here in the middle. They should have just made this all blue. But apart from that, yeah, I actually would not mind the Marvel Legends of this. I actually would not mind it. I do like it. Like I said, my only little qualm, my only little nitpick is that bicep silver part. But apart from that, oh, 150, but you get both. Okay, that's actually not bad. 75 each, but you get both the black and the red. Okay, that's actually pretty nice. Evo going on right now. It's supposed to be a new character reveal this Sunday. Yeah, I know about Evo going. I was expecting a presence of Tokon, but I didn't think that they were going to reveal characters. So I was like, all right, let's do that. But yeah, thank you for the $10 super chat, Brian. But yeah, Spidey for sure. Cap looks kind of interesting. Let's see, what other characters that they show if I get rid of the Spider-Man tag? I know they have a Miss Marvel. That Miss Marvel is going to go in a jar. Not for me. I can tell you right now, Star-Lord and Iron Man will definitely be made into Marvel Legends, and you know why. Because it's a fucking Gundam. That's what it is. It's a Gundam! Look at him. Look at him. It's a Gundam. It's a Gundam! Quite literally, it's selling. That's getting it made into a Marvel Legends. Now, speaking of felt goods and speaking of the potential competitor to WeLikeToys, because I mentioned when we were talking about WeLikeToys about what they could be, who they could be competing against, and that's Mezco. Well, it seems like Mezco themselves did have, actually let me bring up my Instagram. Mezco did have a presence at San Diego Comic-Con, where they showed off a couple of other stuff, some of which we've already seen before, but then a couple of things that I'm like, yo, did we not see this? Was this like a on-the-floor exclusive real quick? Because recently the pre-orders for the animated series Batman and Joker went live, and they were, of course, present on the floor. Gotta be honest, even though I still have the pre-order, and I'm still gonna keep the pre-order, this is looking a little rough. But they did say it's not final. It's a giant sign right there that says not final. And good thing they put up the sign because I feel like even they know that this needs some work. Jesus fucking Christ. This needs work. Lord. Which is sad because their Joker really doesn't look that bad. Joker does not look bad. But god damn, look at that Batman. Ugh. Still gonna keep the pre-order, but damn. Take your time. Now, what did surprise me, though, is that they're making what is it? 1/12th. 1/12th felt goods, whatever they want to call it. 1/12 collective. Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises, Bale Batman. The suit itself actually does not look bad. Proportions, again, with Mezco look a little strange. I don't know why, but the legs look just a tad bit skinny. Like the head looks either a little too large or the legs look a little too skinny. But the actual like assembly of the suit, if it's utilizing like a mesh material that makes it look kind of tight and form-fitting, I'll be like, all right, that can actually kind of work. And the head sculpt and the likeness is not too bad. That could work. So they revealed this, because we have never seen this before. I think they hinted at it at one point with like a tease image, but a full-blown bodysuit, I don't think we've ever seen it before. Same thing with the Joker from The Dark Knight. I do also like the custom bases. Although I think for Batman it's just a blank base. But with Joker, you actually got this little design right there with the Joker. But I am liking the coat. I do like the likeness. I actually think it's a pretty strong likeness. Albeit the mouth looks a little exaggerated, a little too big. But similar to the animated series Joker, it looks like they can nail the Jokers because Jokers typically have suits on them. So they favor from their practices with like the fabric and the felt goods and all the bagginess. And this Joker does not look bad. It really, really doesn't. I actually would be down for putting down a pre-order on this and getting it ASAP. And then a comic-based Red Hood that even I have to admit looks pretty nice. I do like the jacket. I do like how the torso looks with the chest plate and the armaments and the holsters and whatnot. That actually looks pretty nice. I do like that. And they topped it off with a recent pre-order launch that was the Corn Sweat Superman. Once again, I don't know what it is with these companies that cannot get Corn Sweat Superman right. I don't know what it is, but very few action figure companies are being able to nail Corn Sweat Superman. It's crazy. The suit doesn't look all that great either. It looks like maybe around the limbs it doesn't look too bad, but the stitching on the torso looks a little off. The printing of the emblem's a little strange. Crypto doesn't look too bad. In fact, it looks like Crypto might actually end up being articulated, which would be the first time I'd see that. But that head sculpt, I'm sorry, but who is that? Because I'm still not seeing Corn Sweat. I don't know what the hell is that. But yeah, but to me, what I really took away from Mezco was the reveals of the Red Hood, Joker, and Bale Batman. We already knew about the animated series stuff, but all we can really take away is praying that they're working on the suit, working on the body, because this definitely must not be final, because that shit is way too narrow, way too disjointed looking. It's insane. So yeah, Mezco. And if WeLikeToys is going to be giving you guys a run for your money, then you should probably be working on that Toot Suite. Just saying. Okay, and we're slightly running out of time, so I'm going to barrel through this real quick. Mafex also showed up at San Diego Comic-Con, I believe, or at least I think it was Comic-Con. It was either a Comic-Con or the Hong Kong convention. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they showed off a couple of things that did pique my interest. Again, it wasn't like a huge gangbuster sort of reveal, and once again, I deleted Instagram when I really needed it. Pull it back. I don't know why I keep doing that. Save. There we go. Cool. Okay, so one of the things that I thought, oh, here we go. Finally, Flash Keaton is materialized from Mafex. We already had the figure arts. We obviously had the McFarlane. People were wondering if Mafex was going to deliver, considering that they already made Flashes, Barrys, from that 2023 movie. But it looks like finally we have some kind of recognition for the Keaton Batman using the modern suit, because we have an articulated, unpainted prototype that showed up at this display. Like I said, I believe this was San Diego Comic-Con on the floor. I could be wrong about that. It was either Comic-Con or the HGCHK. But Keaton Batman is showing up, so that was there. And overall, I do like that they got his little pout. He might be looking a little young than he was in the movie. I don't see like any wrinkles to formulate that this is the older version of Keaton, but they got his pout. his lips. And as far as the suit is concerned, it looks pretty straightforward, like the final suit. Not too bad. Here's still hoping that the tooling and the articulation actually feels good as opposed to the recent Tobys that were put out. Sticking with Mafex and sticking with DC, they also showed off unpainted prototypes of a Mafex Joker from the 2019 Joaquin Phoenix movie. Him dancing right there with the steps. I don't know, it's not flipping. A little bit of a closer look. And a smiling head. Doesn't look too bad. Looks like it could be kind of cool, though. A little bit baggy there towards the bottom of the pants. But then again, it is from the 1980. So he's going to have the bell bottoms. You can see right there, he's going to come with some accessories. I don't know what the feather duster is for, but the gun, the mask, his diary. We might be having a full-blown diorama suit that's going to come with the Murray Franklin's a chair right there from the infamous Climax. And then an unpainted Harley Quinn with the dress from the Suicide Squad 2021 movie. With a little smile. It is unpainted, but I do like that she's got the tethered look. Whether or not there's a huge demand for any of these figures is going to be interesting. I can kind of make out Peacemaker right there. Probably also from the 2021 movie. I don't think it's from the show. I could be wrong, though. And interesting that they're making a Joker considering that A, the second movie bombed. Critically and commercially. And B, not B. On the one hand, surprising that they're making it because the second movie bombed. But Mafex probably saw how much McFarlane was charging for that set. That they're like, hey, how about $100, maybe $110 flat. You only get Joker. And it's us. It's us. It's Mafex. You can trust us, right? Can we, though? Can we trust them, though? Because also on the floor was this guy. Andrew Garfield's Spidey from No Way Home. Or 2.0 Amazing Spider-Man 2 interpretation. And this was shown on the floor. And I'm like, guys, this figure keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And now showing up at this con, this is what shows up. I still have the pre-order. Still waiting. But again, I'm getting scared that Mafex, in regards to like movie licenses, they're doing something weird. Something is weird over there. Because like I said, Toby did have some problems. He wasn't like the worst like piece of garbage ever, but he did have some significant problems. And now I'm getting kind of nervous that with the delays that Andrews and even the integrated suit Tom is getting, I'm like, and now I'm looking at this head sculpt that showed up on the floor. I'm like, what's going on, guys? Because see, look, this was, this doesn't look too bad, but at the same time, we'll see how that articulation feels in hand, how that tooling feels, how the proportions. And now this is the head sculpt. I'm like, oof. So it's making me a little trepidatious with the other things that also showed up. You have Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. I do like the color scheming of her suit, and the likeness is not too bad. But we'll see how she fares off. This is not too bad. You have more of the Justice League showing up in the back. You have that Tactical Suit 2.0. You have the Henry Cavill Superman from the Zack Snyder cut showing up over there. Albeit, I can already tell from this image that his blue is way too bright. I don't know what's going on right there. Admittingly, the Jared Leto Joker that showed up at the end, that doesn't look too bad. The head sculpt actually looks pretty nice, but I don't care for that version of the character, so I'm not picking it up. But that's there. And then, keeping up with licenses, but jumping from DC to Marvel slightly, they announced that they are in fact bringing Mafex figures for Punisher and Daredevil from Daredevil Born Again, as well as Superman 2025, keeping it on DC, which only makes sense because if Figure Arts delivered Shooter McGavin, Mafex can do the funniest thing by delivering probably the best likeness to corn sweat that we've ever gotten. Because right now, like I said, no company is able to nail it 100%. I got to be honest, maybe the closest is in fact McFarlane, maybe FonJoy, them two, but apart from that, and then maybe Hot Toys, but there's still something kind of off. And I'm like, Mafex, this is your chance. You're at the free throw line. Come on, man. But again, announcement that they're doing Daredevil Born Again. But seeing that Andrew, I'm like, is it just me or like licensed figures from Mafex sort of cursed? Like, are they cursed? Because goddamn, what is going on? Also, are you guys still seeing the stream? Because I'm noticing the chat hasn't moved. Hopefully. Oh, man. And with that, we made it through the... Wow, I'm sweating. We made it to the end of the stream. Made it through all the topics. And I am starving, so... I think I'm definitely going to call it there. Again, I wanted to make this a very chunky show, nearing the 2-hour mark here. I mean, I'm sorry, the 2.5-hour mark. And it's coming up on dinner time, so... Oh, we made it, guys. We made it through most, practically all. There was one that I saw literally last night, and I technically added it to the keep, but I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to save it for next week, just in case. That involves LPZZ. Oh, Bones, you canceled? Anonymous Throne, welcome to the stream. I got to see it in person. Yo, was my shit not... Was it not updating? What the hell? Oh, it just updated. What the hell? It froze. And now I'm seeing a bunch of... Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, you guys were chatting. Off topic, but I genuinely wonder how it's possible that a movie like Fantastic is so out of the world horrible that... Okay. I mean, to each their own. I liked it, but I wasn't over the moon about it like some other people were. Yeah, the Red Hood looks nice. Mafex had their own event, and Mafex needs to do more with the comics Spider-Man. '89 Batman, I think. Yeah, if that mouth plate is in fact, it's not just my eyes, and it actually looks like a young mouth plate. I'm like, is that their way of saying that they could maybe tackle an '89 Keaton Batman? Peacemaker's from the movie because he never utilized his hatchet after that again. Oh, that's true, huh? Yeah, so that's definitely from the 2021 movie. They had to write about the Joker license, so they couldn't decide to turn back. Oh yeah, it's just like McFarlane. They had to do something with it. You canceled the pre-order? Yeah, I mean, I still have the pre-order, but I'm definitely, like I said, trepidatious. But I run a channel that's dedicated to Spider-Man and Batman. Why would I not cover it? They have longer to sculpt and perfect the corn sweat face, so they can get it wrong. They can't get it wrong, right? We'll see. Did you back the BVS Batmobile, CJ Yo-Yo? Not yet. I am going to, but I'm still in the deciding phase of which tier I want to go with. Because if I wasn't a content creator, I would just say, just give me the Justice League Batmobile that comes with the accessories to make it into the Zack Snyder Justice League version, and that's it, because I already have the Bat Signal and the tactical suit, the cloth cape Batman from the Ultimate Movie 6-pack. But as a content creator, there's a part of me that's like, you know what would be a good piece of content is an unboxing video of me unboxing the highest tier with the poster, with the Trinity set, with the Signal. With so I'm like, which part of my brain is going to win that one? Okay, Big Rib, don't, you know, I'll go ahead and mitigates the chances of you getting into a car accident by ending the stream. Because in all honesty, I am getting hungry. I gotta go get me some dinner in me and call it there, because like I said, I'm already losing my voice. It's been a whopping 2.5 hours, but at the same time, I knew that the stream needed to be a lengthy one because we had a lot to cover. And I actually ended up cutting out one topic, but the topic could technically wait until next week, especially if we end up getting better photos and better information about this thing that broke literally, I think, last night. I was like, ooh, and it does involve LPZZ. So I'm like, okay, I definitely want to sit with this a little longer. So I'm like, all right, this could wait until possibly next week. So appreciate it. Better be revealed soon. The retailers, the BVS bound will be available. It's not exclusive. So yeah, all right, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Or it could just stay crowdfunded. I don't know. Anyways, guys, it'll be a good video in my opinion because not a lot of people will get the highest tier. Oh, stop convincing me, CJ. But you do have a point, though. Anyways, CJ, Big Rib, Alex, Bones, CM Brunk, again, appreciate you for the $20 super chat. Brian's New Dishwasher, I appreciate the $10 super chat. Anonymous Throne. Who else was here? I know I'm missing somebody. Aquamat. Was that everybody? I want to say there's other people that were earlier in the chat, but I'm blinking out right now because... Jason's Electric, I know, was here. Big Rib. See? Okay. Something's going on. It would be nice to see a bit of that. Am I back? Yeah, OBS just disconnected and it reconnected again. I think I'm back, but I'm signing off anyways. Give me my dick. Actually, I need to hurry up with that Nightwing. He looks so good, minus the eyes. Looking a little far. Need the Mezco Red Hood. Hopefully they release Mezco Nightwing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot that was the thing. Anyways. But yeah, it would be a nice... That's what I'm thinking, CJ Yo. It's like, would that be good content to make an unboxing of that highest tier? Man's over here tweaking. No, yeah, you left for a second. Yeah, I don't know why it's disconnecting. I don't know if it's like overheating or something. But anyways, I gotta get out of here anyways. Guys, have a great rest of your weekend. I'm gonna be working on some videos. Now that I'm back from San Diego, I'm working on, I don't know if you guys saw the community post, but I got like 7 figures from McFarlane. Out of those 7, 3 will be full-length individual reviews. 2 will be bundled into one video because they're just repaints, so I might as well just do a comparison. And then that's 5. So then the other 2 figures are going to be just shorts. So look out for that content in like the next week and a half. I do have the Fonjoy Corn Sweat Superman on its way. So look out for a review of that. And then hopefully in the next week or so, I finally get some movement happening with the LPZZ Batman. Maybe, God forbid, I find the Doomslayer Elite Edition figure in stores. Maybe, God willing, and hopefully I find that at a Walmart because apparently Walmart's selling it for like $10 cheaper. I don't know why, but they are. So we'll see. But content is still fluctuating. It's going to be a little bit different, possibly, but it is still coming down the pipeline, and hopefully you guys will keep on watching. So, yeah, Jesus Electric, Bones, Big Rib, CJ Yo-Yo, Alex, CM Brock, Anonymous Throne, and everybody else who either lurked or chatted earlier, but I'm not seeing your name. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the super chats from Brian's New Dishwasher and CM Brock. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care. And as always, stay humble. Peace.